If God made the universe, who made God?
Well, this is a question that gets asked a lot by children. And I expect it from children because for children, everything came from somewhere else. And so they think of God the same way. Okay. I'm surprised that adults ask this question, though. Okay. And what's going on here is something like a what's called a complex question. In other words, one question is asked that assumes the answer to another question that hasn't been discussed yet. Okay, so Paul, if I said to you, so Paul, are you still beating your children? What are you going to say? If you say no, that means you used to be beating your children, but you're not. If you say yes, then that means you used to be beating them and you're still beating them. Because the question itself assumes that you were beating your children. Okay, that's called a complex question. And this is one of those questions. So if somebody said, who made God? That's a question that assumes something. What does it assume? It assumes that God was made.
God was made, yeah.
Yes, but we don't believe God was made. Our view is that God is eternal. He never began and he never ended. Now, I mean, we could be wrong in our view, but the point is the understanding that God is eternal. It doesn't make any sense to ask the question, who made an eternal being? Because an eternal being was never made. It's a nonsense question. Okay, so this is a question that sometimes comes up when we make an argument for God's existence based on the fact that the universe came into existence. Okay, the cosmological argument, and so we say, well, the universe came into existence. So what caused the universe? We say God. Somebody said, what caused God? I said, wait a minute. I didn't say that. Who said that God came into existence? The universe did. That needs a cause. But if God didn't come into existence, then he doesn't need a cause. And is it going to turn out, and I don't want to get all philosophical here, but it's going to turn out that there's got to be something like one that was never created that made everything else, or else you're going to keep falling back into the hole of an infinite regress. Because if I said, you said, who made God? And I said, Fred made God. And then you can say, well, who made Fred? And I said, well, Bill made Fred and Fred made God. Well, then who made Bill? And right on down the line. And it doesn't matter if you change the name to a bunch of Hindu deities, you still got the same problem. Pretty soon you're going to have to find some place to start or nothing gets going. So there's nothing unusual. Well, there's nothing irrational about God being eternal. And something like an eternal being is necessary to start the whole thing. Now, it is unusual because he's the only one like that. I agree with that. But it's not irrational. And so when somebody asks us who made God, and they're grown up, they're not thinking about this question. They're not thinking about our view. I'll close with this. I had a debate with Michael Shermer, an American atheist, on radio a number of years ago, and I knew he was going to ask the same question. And Michael Shermer's a PhD. Richard Dawkins asked the same question, and he's a PhD too. These guys should know better. And I think they do know better, but what they're doing is playing to the audience who doesn't know better. And so I was ready for his comment. He said, well, who made God? And I said, Michael, you don't believe anybody made God because you don't believe in God. I don't believe in it that anybody made God because I believe God is eternal. There's nobody in this discussion who believes that God was made. So why are you asking the question, who made him? So it was a way of me using my tactical approach to try to deal with that in a very quick manner. But I think you understand the basis for it.
Is it probably because they look at Christian God as they look at Greek gods, because Greek gods are finite?
Right.
So probably that's one of the reasons they are looking at Christian God as they look at
that might be
Roman gods.
Yes, and it might be a fair question to ask of limited deities of other religions. And I think now you have a problem with the other religion when you have limited deities, you know. And plus, even all this polytheistic pantheon of other religions like Hinduism, at least on some forms of Hinduism, are all illusions anyway. It's all Maya, you know. So those gods don't even exist actually when push comes to shove. So, yeah, I don't think this is a question that is appropriate to ask of Christianity, but it might be appropriate of other religions.